minutes, handshakes, and we're off.
And which move will it be? Oh, he reached over to the queen side. I thought it might be b3. No, it's pawn to c4, the English opening. And Wesley so replies instantly. He plants a pawn in the center himself. He puts a black pawn on e5. A knight comes out. Wesley again does the same. All the knights are coming out into the center here. And we'll get those moves on our live board very shortly. But it is one of the main lines of the English opening. Not too surprising, Robert.
And Wesley played the English against Nordirbeck when he needed to beat him. So Wesley plays this from the white side. Most players at the top have to face openings that they enjoy playing from the other color. But after the 4 knights variation of the English here, Magnus the one sitting and thinking because he can fianchetto his light square bishop by playing move pawn to g3. He chooses it as you see on screen here, or there were other alternatives, but now we are going to see a central clash.
And we see trades are happening in the center of the board. No Mimi opening by Magnus, the solid English. And I want to ask you, because we've been seeing this term being dropped around a lot, Mimi openings. Give me some examples. What are these and why are they so Mimi?
Mimi openings tend to be non-traditional openings or openings we very rarely see at the top level. Often there's a sneaky idea behind them, whether it's the bomb cloud with a very incorrect early king move, whether it's, I'm trying to think of other Mimi openings, 1b3 let's say, which doesn't occupy the center. It's something that kind of is a rare guest at top level and often is kind of designed to either troll the opponent, throw off the opponent, maybe some mind games involved, but this is very correct chess comparatively.
And would they usually be one game opening approach, something that you don't end up repeating in a match?
Unless you're Hikaru and you play Mimi openings on every single turn, every single game. And yeah, normally there's a time and a place. We see a lot of Mimi openings online. Often players, they have kind of pet lines where they kind of loyally adopt certain openings, even if they know objectively they're not the best because they know all the tricks behind them. Shout out to the Stafford Gambit and Eric Rosen out there. But either way, this is much more traditional stuff.
Much more traditional stuff, and we're seeing some traditional plans being played right now. It looks like White, though, has got, again, a more solid approach, a more solid setup, still not breaking out in the center. But very often these openings do end up sort of exploding in the center. There is action that happens, but right now it's just very early on.
Between these two players, and we see we do not have a symmetrical pawn structure. Black has traded his d-pawn for White's c-pawn. Black has those knights developed, will get ready to castle. White's already castled, but if you look into the position on each player's half, not a single piece is past Magnus Carlsen's 3rd rank, whereas Wesley has 2 pawns on his 4th rank, the 5th rank of the board. So White has sacrificed a little bit of space for quick development, and that bishop on g2, that fianchetto bishop, it slices across the board and may be the strongest piece down the line.
I actually play this opening with the black pieces, and I like that Wesley has stopped Magnus's pawn from going all the way to b4, so Magnus has to be happy with just putting it one step ahead to take out that bishop on b2, which then starts targeting Wesley's center pawn. And very often the decision here is if White is able to get that d-pawn moving up the board. Are you able to strike with d4? It becomes a fight for that square because Black's knight often finds itself to stop that break.
Yeah, Black is perfectly poised to stop the center from opening within the near future at least. I will just mention before we delve into the specifics of the position, we see the board in front of us. The clocks, we will get to you. Both players have an ocean of time right now. advance of the e-pawn, and this one, yeah, simply nothing to do. It's only one pawn. Opposite color bishops always play on to the end, especially if you're pawn up, just in case. But at this level, at this elevated level, unfortunately, just a draw.
No one won a game by agreeing to a draw, but this one is, regardless of how long it goes on, is headed that direction. Magnus doesn't immediately fall back with the king, implying a repetition. He does move the pawn forward, so he is going to play this one out. Wesley puts all his pawns in the same color as his own bishop just to make sure that everything remains defended.
Yeah, good strategy in general. And Magnus, he's just going to play around a bit. How soon do you think we'll see the draw, Robert?
It should be soon, and I want to give a shout out to Wesley. He had the black pieces in this game. So many players have struggled against Magnus Carlsen, but he's had no difficulty from start to finish, and it's not a position where there are any cheapos or tactics or tricks. There's just one extra pawn, it's on e4, and that's why Wesley parked his bishop on d6. In order to push that pawn, the white king would need to step forward to defend the square, but as soon as that bishop leaves f5, the black king can step right back in opposition of the white king. So you make sure you control the dark squares. There's nothing that white can do about it.
I think it's about to happen now. We're going to see the bishop shuffling around with no way to improve, no way to even really find a way to get that e-pawn moving forward. But perhaps if the king was to step in opposition right now, what Magnus wants to do is give a check from the other side, from that e8 square. And then we will see the line that you were pointing out with the e-pawn moving forward.
Yeah, he will actually be able to force the pawn through, but the problem is, yes, it will be an e-pawn, yes, it's just one pawn, but Black's king will always blockade on the dark square. The black bishop will do a great job of defending the a5 pawn and the h6 pawn. White's king will not be able to attack them both simultaneously, they're both separated. I think just great strategy from Wesley just to set up everything, all the pawns on dark squares. And we'll see this happen. I think we'll see everything we've been describing unfold. Magnus just playing around, repurposing, remaneuvering his bishop, but ultimately not much progress. I think his final trick will be to give a check and hope that the black king goes in the wrong direction. If there was a wrong direction there, but now the pawns are traded off. Look at the black king. That white e-pawn will never be able to bypass on the dark squares. Yeah, any moment now, I think we'll see the handshake.
Can't kick that king out of e7. That's the nature, and there's the handshake. All agreed. We're 1-1 in the first set of this title match.
And that was an English opening by Magnus, but he got nothing out of it as Wesley, with clinical trades, goes into an opposite color bishop endgame. A solid hold by the so solid Wesley.
Yeah, rock solid. He'll be so pleased with himself as